This is Edge of the Web Radio. We deliver cutting-edge web marketing education every week on the air and every second online. Check it out at sitestrategics.com. Now, here's your host, Aaron Sparks.
Did a number of articles from Search Engine Journal, Enchanting Marketing, and Marketing Land about persuasive content. This is an entire niche of information that solely goes, unfortunately it goes without that much focus when people are rolling out websites. We actually have Linnell here, who's our content manager. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
I thought, you know what, if we're talking content, we've got to have her in.
Absolutely.
So what's the biggest obstacle of effective content marketing? Surveys have constantly revealed that enterprises, large and small, feel that creating enough content is the biggest problem, but I'm not sure that quantity is the real issue. The problem is quality. In other words, does the content that's already getting created actually perform the intended function? So what's the intended function here? Quality online marketing, content marketing, gets people to perform an action. Whether it's social sharing or joining an email list or contacting a sales rep or making an online purchase, people have to be persuaded to do something. Okay, which is all another point we were just talking about the issue with Google. They're trying to look at facts as a scoring opportunity for higher rankings. It's not just about facts. You have to persuade your users of why to use your service as opposed to somebody else. So contrary to popular belief, persuasion is not about manipulating or tricking people. Okay? It's about creating an understanding. So your prospects need to understand the overall context in which their problem exists in order to best solve it. Okay? They have to understand what their issues are. And prospects may not understand the enormity of their problems. They may have one issue, but all of a sudden they can learn more from you by you sharing that information. Your prospects also need to understand the benefits of solving their problem in a particular way before appreciating the benefits of your own product. And often your prospects need their perspective altered. And this is very important. Yeah. From an educational standpoint, before committing into a purchase, you have to be able to change their perspective. These are three objectives that can actually be achieved by simply increasing the understanding to your reader, to that visitor, and create an understanding by providing the appropriate context within your content marketing efforts. All right, so that's the primer behind all of this. We have some great tips and techniques on how to actually do this. Number one, hey Tom, tell me number one here on our list of 3 simple techniques.
Don't miss the forest for the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Smart content marketing helps prospects understand the overall context involved in achieving what they want. And too often businesses produce pieces of content with solid advice, yet lack the proper context to make that advice truly actionable.
If you know that analogy, it's losing the forest for the trees, right?
Mm-hmm.
You may be focusing on one particular page, not the experience that your site actually provides as an educational point of reference, as well as an empathetic point of reference. You need to be able to show information to consumers that you know what they're going through. Okay, so the issue here is one way to provide a crucial context is to develop cornerstone content. Okay, around topics that people need to understand. Okay, can you describe to me, Linnell, like a cornerstone piece of content?
Well, I was just thinking earlier about your comment. People are so enamored with their products, sometimes they don't understand that they need to be in love more with the customer.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll focus on one thing that is not, it's just one part of what the customer's interested in, and they need to step back and love the customer. Mm-hmm. So they need to find out what overall problem that the customer has, that this one page, but they're not just reading this one page on your website. They're addressing their problem, and you need to be able to let them navigate naturally through a funnel. So
absolutely. Yeah, the web visit is an experiential one.
It is experiential, and that's what a lot of content writers don't understand.
Now they'll and Doug, you know this. You're writing content all the time.
Yeah.
And Marketing Tech Blog is a great resource. But you know what? You don't write for one particular issue and that's it. You have context. You link up content based on that topic.
Yeah.
That's useful, and you have to go through a type of different perspectives of different users. Is that some content that you tie together is very useful for an experienced type of marketer, but it's not going to have any benefit for that novice coming in.
Yeah, and I think nowadays, people are researching on the web, so you get that person that, might be thinking about doing something a year out or 2 years out, and they're just starting to look, and so having that introductory type, we do a lot of definitive stuff, like what is, what is this, what is that?
Which is great for social sharing as well.
The reason why we do it is because there's always a new crowd of people coming in that just want to learn the basics. But then we have the very advanced, in-depth content, for the, the CMO that wants to, get a data management platform and why.
Right.
And, and so we go and we try to do a good job of tagging everything in between,
Absolutely. I mean, we just had a meeting here just recently with another new client that just came on board, and we actually broke down their user profiles from the CEO to the CFO to the CTO, and they all have different needs that need to be acknowledged in your content. If you're not looking at understanding the actual customer, then you're writing something for yourself.
Well, you just said it right there, and that's what we see all the time with clients. Is we have clients that sometimes they just want to be the authority figure,
right?
So they always want to have this heady, really high end content. They don't want to sound like they're a basic company, and so they miss a huge opportunity. But the other one is people that just talk about their products and services all day. Right. Oh my God! If you're selling to a good example is like if you're selling to, we have a company, SalesView. Mm-hmm. They're selling to salespeople. So we don't write about their product,
right?
When we're helping them with content, we write about what helps salespeople.
Absolutely,
what helps sales directors. Right. Help your audience and build value for your audience, and that builds trust. And
they're coming to you with a pain or a problem, and that's what you're trying to address, not your product and how wonderful it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Another point here is sharing the benefits of knowledge. Smart content marketing helps prospects understand the benefits of solving their problem in a certain way. Simply understanding that you have a problem or desire is not the same as understanding the best way to deal with it. Too often businesses will use content to attract a prospect and then immediately start trying to sell that paid solution. Don't do that. You need to bring them in for a soft landing because nobody wants to get a hard sell. Mm-hmm. And you have a different cycle of people. People are in an education mode. They are not ready for a sell. So you have to really structure your site as landing strips, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And as they're coming in, right? You're not going to force them down on the ground. They got to glide in here nicely, right? People first must understand the benefit of doing things the way your solution operates, and which means that there needs to be an intermediate type of educational step. There's a tactic that we'd recommend. Don't try to be clever or creative in your statements. On the web, it's rare that a reader hangs on every word that you write. Simple statements actually work the best, and clever phrasing requires people to think. And I can reference a book that was written in 2005, and it's still appropriate. That is, or still applicable. It's "Don't Make Me Think" by Steve Krug. And he says, when I look at a web page, it should be self-evident, obvious, and self-explanatory. Don't challenge them to actually try to think through things. The third point to get to this point real quick is the contrast to change perception. Okay, you need to be able to smart content marketing alters the perspective of prospects. So here's a perfect example. It's perceptual contrast. Check that out. Here's an example. In the book, Yes, 50 Scientifically Proven Ways to Be Persuasive. Check this out. The authors share a real-world example. A company selling high-end hot tubs at like $15,000 a pop, okay? Heard from customers that having the tub was like actually adding another room to the house. So the company incorporated that bit of information into their sales messages and contrasted the price of a hot tub to the cost of a room addition, which was actually around $30,000 or $40,000. By incorporating that message, they increased their sales by 500%. Just by setting the stage differently. Okay, so there's the perceptual contrast is that if there are certain pain points that people have, and they have a belief of how much you're going to cost, or things that they would have to digest and make them uncomfortable, right? Set the stage differently. It's like cost savings because you write this way, you're going to save this and be able to get 500% more leads to your website. Put it in context where they can actually understand the benefits, right?
Right, and that's where it's good to listen to your salespeople because they hear what the customers are saying and where their pain points are, and they're in touch. They're the liaison.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, to wrap up here, and there's so much to talk about in this topic, and we're going to follow up here in a little bit with some more information. Content marketing done poorly is just merely the transition or the transmission of information. Content marketing done well, it actually creates an understanding, and that understanding leads to knowledge, and that knowledge leads to an acceptance and a purchase, or whatever the acquisition is that you want to have with your online prospects. When you empower your prospects with true understanding and knowledge, you can knock out any remaining barriers and objections to doing business with you. And I want to thank Brian Clark from Copy Blogger because that's a great perspective, a great article. All right.